GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good evening. Our top story follows a local content creator walking our streets, rescuing discarded items and urging us to look again. Hydro-Quebec is proposing a new rate for high-usage households, and Environment Canada has issued a severe thunderstorm watch as traffic remains clear. Emma, what do you make of that?
Canada Day celebrations kick off today across Montreal, with free concerts at Parc Jean-Drapeau, fireworks at the Old Port, and family activities at community centers.
The city has scheduled a multicultural parade beginning at St. Laurent Boulevard at noon, featuring local dance troupes, Indigenous performers, and marching bands.
Food trucks offering poutine, smoked meat sandwiches, and maple glazed treats will line Rue Saint-Denis, and a free yoga session is planned near Place des Festivals.
We've highlighted today's Canada Day festivities, and there's much more to explore, so stay with us, lots to get to, let's begin. Good evening, Montreal. Today a local content creator will take to the island's sidewalks, gathering discarded but functional objects to showcase online. The creator plans to wander from the plateau to the Myland, picking up items like umbrellas, reusable containers, and garden tools that residents have tossed onto the curb. By posting the finds on social media, the project aims to remind passersby that many usable things end up in the trash, urging a shift in how Montrealers view waste. The initiative, scheduled for July 1st, will be filmed in real time, highlighting the everyday treasures hidden among the city's debris. Organizers hope the visual campaign sparks conversation about reducing landfill contributions and encourages people to pause before discarding items that could still serve a purpose. The effort also invites viewers to share their own reclaimed finds, building a community of mindful collectors across the boroughs.
Hydro-Quebec unveiled a new electricity tariff on this afternoon, aimed specifically at households that consume the most power. The state-owned utility said the proposal will create a separate pricing tier for high-usage residential customers across the province. Under the plan, those whose monthly consumption exceeds the current average would pay a higher per kilowatt-hour rate, while lower consumption homes would remain on existing pricing. Hydro-Quebec officials explain the change is part of its regular rate review cycle and is intended to reflect the cost of serving heavy users. The utility will present the detailed proposal to the provincial energy regulator for approval in the coming weeks. Hydro-Quebec also announced a public consultation slated for August, inviting consumers to comment before the final rate schedule is set. If adopted, the new structure could affect thousands of families that rely on electric heating, water heating, and large appliances.
Environment Canada has placed a severe thunderstorm watch over multiple regions of Quebec as storms intensify across the province. Meteorologists say the watch issued this morning signals that hazardous wind gusts, large hail, and frequent lightning are expected to develop through the afternoon and into the evening. The agency is closely monitoring the evolving weather patterns and advises residents to stay alert, secure loose objects, and avoid travel on exposed roadways if conditions worsen. Emergency services stand ready to respond to any incidents, while local authorities have activated their weather response protocols. Residents in the Montreal, Capitale Nord, and Eastern Township zones are specifically included in the advisory. Power companies have pre-positioned crews to address potential outages, and schools in the affected districts may consider delaying afternoon activities. The watch remains in effect for the remainder of the day, and updates will be provided as the situation evolves.
Environment Canada has issued a heat wave warning for southern Quebec, saying the humidex could climb to 45 today. The agency said extreme heat and high humidity are already combining across the region, making conditions feel dangerously hot. Meteorologists note that a humidex of 45 is comparable to severe heat events that strain health services and increase the risk of heat-related illness. Residents are being urged to stay hydrated, limit outdoor activity during peak hours, and check on vulnerable neighbors. Schools and workplaces are reviewing schedules, and public cooling centers are opening in several municipalities. The warning remains in effect through the afternoon, and forecasters expect the oppressive heat to persist into tomorrow before gradually easing. Health officials will monitor the situation and issue further guidance as needed. Authorities also advise motorists to check their vehicle cooling systems before long trips.
Yesterday in Varennes, Quebec Minister Bernard Drainville unveiled a sweeping 25-year resource management plan valued at $87 billion. The strategy sets a target of 77% renewable energy consumption across the province by 2050. Officials said the blueprint will direct massive investments in hydro, wind, and solar infrastructure, while also reshaping electricity distribution and storage networks. The plan outlines phased milestones, incentives for clean technology firms, and new regulatory frameworks to accelerate the transition. Drainville emphasized that meeting the 77% goal will reduce reliance on fossil fuels and position Quebec as a North American leader in sustainable power. The announcement marks the most ambitious climate-focused financial commitment in the province's history, signaling a long-term shift toward greener energy sources. Implementation will be overseen by the province's Resource Authority, funded through a blend of public money and private partnerships, and aligns with Canada's national net zero goals. Later, a musician recovers a stolen rare trumpet at the Montreal Jazz Festival, a thrilling rescue you won't want to miss. We will be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're settled in. Let's dive into today's local stories with Emma Leclerc, who's ready to bring you the details.
The Montreal Jazz Festival has taken an unexpected turn for a Lanaudière musician whose rare trumpet was reported stolen this morning. Police say the instrument was traced to a nearby homeless camp, and the musician is set to retrieve it later today. Festival organizers confirmed the theft occurred amid the bustling performances, but authorities were able to locate the camp quickly after the musician provided a description. The homeless individual who possessed the trumpet is cooperating with officials, and the valuable instrument is expected to be returned intact. This development comes as crowds fill the festival grounds, underscoring the challenges of securing personal belongings in a high-traffic event. The musician plans to resume playing once the trumpet is back in hand, adding a hopeful note to an otherwise tense situation.
Yesterday, the provincial government announced a $123 million Canadian investment to rehabilitate a former industrial complex in East Montreal. The funding targets roughly 30 million square feet of vacant industrial land that has sat idle for years, aiming to transform the site into usable space and boost local economic activity. Officials said the money will cover cleanup, infrastructure upgrades, and the preparation of parcels for new businesses or housing. The project is part of a broader strategy to repurpose the extensive unused industrial footprint that has long limited growth in the eastern part of the city. By turning the derelict area into productive assets, the province hopes to create jobs and increase tax revenue for neighborhoods that have struggled with declining employment opportunities. The initiative is expected to begin planning phases within weeks.
Residents of Dollard-des-Ormeaux are still coping with piles of trash left behind after the heavy rains that flooded the West Island a week ago. Many families have found it difficult to use backyards or sidewalks, and nearby shops note a drop in customer flow as the mess lingers. Stagnant debris has collected in yards and streets, and neighbors report that municipal crews have been slow to clear the material. City officials say a town hall will be convened on August 6 to outline the cleanup plan and answer questions from the community. The meeting, hosted at the local recreation center, will give residents an opportunity to voice concerns and hear details about equipment deployment, staffing schedules, and expected timelines for removal. Officials have pledged to prioritize areas most affected by the flooding, emphasizing that swift action is needed to prevent health risks and restore normalcy to daily routines.
City officials rolled out an online consultation in early June to gather input on expanding the bike lane network. Since then, cyclists across the island have voiced concerns that the survey may lack impartiality and could expose personal information. Riders say the questionnaire asks for details they consider private, and they worry the data could be used beyond planning purposes. The city has responded that the poll is meant to guide future infrastructure and that responses are anonymized, but cyclists continue to press for clearer safeguards. Advocacy groups are urging the municipality to publish the survey's methodology and to limit data collection to essential feedback. As the consultation remains open, residents who bike to work or school are being asked to weigh in while also weighing the risk to their privacy.
Police responded to a shooting at the intersection of SHAIR Brook Street and Montcalm Street in the Ville-Marie district earlier today. The incident unfolded shortly after noon, prompting a swift response from emergency medical teams and a coordinated police presence. Officers found a man with gunshot wounds to his upper body and transported him to a nearby hospital for treatment. The victim remains the sole person injured in the incident. Investigators have not released a motive or identified a suspect, and no weapon was recovered at the scene. Authorities are reviewing surveillance footage from nearby businesses to aid the investigation. Traffic on Hyperbrook and surrounding streets was temporarily rerouted, causing delays for commuters heading downtown. Residents were advised to avoid the immediate area while police continue their investigation. The department will release further updates as more information becomes available.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what tonight's weather holds for us.
A northwesterly jet fuels a hot, stable night as pressure climbs and storms linger far east. On this date, the thermometer once topped at 33.9 Celsius back in 2018, a blistering peak that rode the tail of a province-wide heat wave. The coldest reading fell to 15.1 Celsius in 2016, recorded during an unseasonal Arctic dip that sent frost into the downtown core. By contrast, the 1991 through 2020 normals sit around 33 Celsius for the high and 23 for the low, so today's temperatures sit squarely within the long-term range. The live radar shows a blank canvas across southern Quebec. No rain echoes from the Great Lakes, and the satellite-derived echo is empty from the St. Lawrence to the Laurentians. A weak, northwesterly jet aloft steers any moisture well east of the island, while high pressure at the surface suppresses lift. Expect the clear band to linger over Montreal for the next several hours before the night finally darkens. At 6 p.m. Montreal sits under a clear dome with the temperature holding at 31 Celsius, feeling like 33. Near average pressure is climbing, sealing in the warm, dry air that dominates the city. A northwesterly jet streaming at 71 kilometers per hour aloft pushes any lingering moisture east, while the surface wind gusts to 27 kilometers per hour from the southwest, adding a noticeable breeze. The ultraviolet index reads 5, and humidity rests at 54%, keeping the heat comfortable but persistent. A series of severe thunderstorm watches and heat warnings blanket the surrounding suburbs, from La Ville to Chateauguay, so remain alert to rapid storm development. With no rain in sight, the night will stay dry as the high drifts eastward, setting the stage for tomorrow's pattern. Looking ahead, Thursday brings another scorching day with a high of 33 Celsius and a low of 23 under a clear sky. Friday eases only slightly, 32 up and 23 down, mostly clear and driven by the same high-pressure ridge. Saturday introduces a cooler swing, highs dip to 29 and lows to 20, and a 35% chance of rain nudges the eastern valleys, though the city center remains mostly dry. Sunday remains overcast with the same 29 high and 20 low, as lingering moisture from the Gulf feeds low clouds. Monday continues the overcast trend, 29 up and 21 down, marking a 5-day stretch of warm nights but gradually falling temperatures. Expect the jet to shift northward, allowing cooler air to filter in by the end of the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunset is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic's smooth and will soon preview Canada Day celebrations, Soccerfest, and Ivan Demidov's 8-year Canadiens extension. More coming up. We will be right back.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches. No middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
All right, commuters, the biggest holdup right now is the full night and weekend closure on Côte de Lys as the overpass is being rebuilt. Expect detours through St. Laurent and Gouin. Traffic will back up on Boulevard St. Laurent and Avenue Papineau, so allow an extra 10 minutes if you're heading downtown. On the Honoré-Mercier Bridge, only one lane per direction remains open. The bottleneck starts at the east end near Rue Notre Dame and stretches to the highway merge. If you're crossing the river, give yourself an additional 15 minutes and consider the Jacques Cartier crossing as an alternative. The St. Pierre interchange ramps stay restricted through the night and on weekends, slowing access to Autoroute 40. Drivers heading west should use Boulevard St. Michel to bypass the ramp. Finally, eastbound paving continues on Highway 15 and Highway 40. Expect lane reductions and slower speeds until the work wraps up later this week. Apart from these projects, the rest of the network is moving freely this afternoon.
Canada Day bursts onto the Old Port's Clock Tower Pier today, with live music, food stalls and workshops for families, a perfect way to celebrate the nation's birthday on the waterfront. At Place des Arts, renowned singer-songwriter Melody Gardot headlines the Salle Wilfrid Pelletier as part of the Festival International de Jazz, delivering her soulful blend of jazz and blues that draws both connoisseurs and casual listeners. For the active crowd, Soccerfest kicks off at Royal West Academy Field, where local teams compete amid live DJ beats and food trucks, turning the pitch into a lively playground. Meanwhile, downtown music lovers can still enjoy the free Montreal Jazz Festival concert that's filling the streets with improvisation and swing, offering a spontaneous soundtrack to a summer evening without spending a dime. Looking ahead, the city's jazz calendar swells tomorrow through Thursday with dozens of performances across venues, so keep your evenings open for more world-class sounds. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's hockey headlines, from contracts to honors. Montreal's defenseman Ivan Demidov inked an 8-year extension worth $9.15 million AAV, keeping him in a blue and white jersey through 2034. He said the choice was simple, citing a hungry young core determined to chase the Stanley Cup. The Vancouver Canucks acquired forward Brendan Gallagher from the Montreal Canadiens in a trade officially finalized on June 29. Montreal received future considerations in return, marking a shift as the veteran leaves the Habs roster. Montreal honored officially forward Brendan Gallagher with honorary citizenship at City Hall on Thursday afternoon, June 25. The ceremony recognized his contributions to the Canadiens and the community, cementing his lasting legacy beyond the rink. Goaltending legend Carey Price was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame, joining the 2026 class alongside Pekka Rinne, Keith T. Tkachuk and Cindy Curley. The Montreal native's induction underscores his lasting impact on the franchise.
Montreal Metropolitan Airport in St. Laurent just unveiled its brand new passenger terminal. On June 15, 2026, the facility opened its doors, bringing Porter Airlines and Pascan Aviation together under one roof for domestic routes across Canada. The terminal boasts 9 boarding bridges and a departure lounge that can welcome 900 passengers, instantly expanding the region's air travel capacity. For the St. Laurent neighborhood, the expansion means new jobs, a surge of visitors, and easier connections for local families and businesses alike. Local cafes already see a buzz ready to serve new travelers. The terminal's modern design reflects Montreal's spirit. It's a reminder that the sky isn't the limit for Montreal's growth, but a pathway that keeps our city linked to the rest of the country. And up next, we'll hear how a talented musician reclaimed a stolen rare trumpet at the Montreal Jazz Festival, truly a heartwarming triumph.
If you run a venue, a comedy night, a concert, a fundraiser, you already know the hardest part isn't the show. It's selling the seats. Theaterfiller changes that. In minutes, you're set up with your own ticketing page, QR code delivery, and a door scanner. No technical headaches, no middleman taking a cut of your night. Your event, your tickets, your revenue. Go to theaterfiller.com and fill every seat.
On a crisp autumn afternoon in the historic heart of Quebec City, the scent of fresh-baked croissants drifted from a bustling boulangerie onto the cobblestones of Place Royale. Inside a modest community center, Eric Duhame stood beside a table stacked with handwritten letters, each one addressed to the province's electoral commission. Volunteers in bright orange jackets sorted the notes, their smiles brightening the room as they folded petitions and tucked in freshly printed flyers. One of those flyers, a vibrant poster of the city's iconic Château Frontenac framed by maple leaves, fluttered in the gentle breeze that slipped through the open windows. Children from a nearby school gathered around, tracing the outline of the building with crayons, their excitement palpable as they imagined a national debate echoing through their streets. When Duhame read his own request aloud, a polite appeal to shift the provincial leaders' debate from Montreal to Quebec City on September 23, 2026, the room fell into a hopeful hush. The crowd's applause was less about politics than about a shared belief that every corner of the province deserves a voice on the stage. Tonight, that belief feels alive in the stone arches and lantern-lit cafes of Quebec City, reminding us that democracy thrives when it walks the streets of every community.
On a breezy Thursday evening on St. Denis Street, the modest storefront of Moan Lapin glowed with amber light, its open kitchen a stage for chef Alexander Tremblay and his team. Inside, the scent of caramelized onions and fresh herbs mingled with the low murmur of regulars and curious newcomers. Across the block, 3 other Montreal favorites, Le Club Chasse, Café Vienne, and the rooftop garden at Le St. Laurent, were also preparing for a quiet night, unaware that their names would soon appear on a continent-wide list. When the world's 50 Best North America announcement crackled over the radio, the kitchen fell still. The host named Mon Lapin at number 5, the highest spot any Quebec restaurant has ever achieved, followed by the other 3 local gems nestled within the top 50. Chef Tremblay lifted his wooden spoon, eyes shining, and whispered a thank you to the diners who had become family. The room erupted in spontaneous applause, a chorus of pride that echoed down the cobblestones. Emma Leclerc, what does this mean for Montreal's food scene? The moment reminded us that the city's creativity, shared around humble tables, can shine on the world stage.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us tonight. That inventive content creator turning abandoned street finds into art really captured our imagination. Stay safe, stay curious, and tune in tomorrow for more stories that matter to our city. This is Mark Beaumont signing off from the local Sunset.